Hey, what's going on YouTube? It's Pyromancer here, and welcome to my channel. I hope you're all having a wonderful day, morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are in the world. And today I'm going to be taking a look at more information on Zaahen. So we'll have the actual gameplay overview, which explains like his different mechanics. And then I actually have the voice lines here that we're going to listen to. So I'm really excited. Anything pertaining to demons, Darkin is some of my favorite lore from Runeterra. I've loved the story of Zaahen so far, how it's been tied in with Xin Zhao, the willingness of his imprisonment, the willingness of the sacrificial exchange between the two of them, the kind of little pocket realm that Zaahen is existing in. And, you know, really interesting question is comparing and contrasting that to what we know about other Darkin like Aatrox, who is kind of said to exist in total darkness, and kind of wondering maybe why that could be. You know, it does kind of look, and I left this out of my live analysis because I was just so excited at the time and didn't really think about it. It does kind of look like there's almost like a black liquid encroaching upon the sands where Zaahen is, where he meets Xin Zhao. And I wonder if that's kind of representative of the kind of corruption of Atakan kind of seeping into this area. And it makes me wonder, like, if the whole place were consumed by this kind of dark, shadowy, demonic energy, would that kind of be an ocean of darkness or utter darkness, similar to what Aatrox experiences? But not to get too out and off in the weeds here, let's go back to the main thing here, and that would be the Zaahen Champion Spotlight. So this will actually be explaining the mechanics of Zaahen and the things that were maybe not so clear to those like myself in the live reveal. I'm not as good at picking up exactly what abilities are doing. I don't play League as much as some of you might. So yeah, without any further ado, let's get into it here.
An enlightened warlord who chose exile and imprisonment to stop the threat of his fellow Darkin, Zaahen has returned to once again fight a battle against his own kin.
Enlightened warlord. Now, one thing that I pointed out before that I think is really interesting about Zaahen is that there does not appear to any longer be an eye in his weapon, or kind of like you know, a source for that vessel. It seems to me very much more like Zaahen himself has manifested outside the weapon through this willing exchange with Xin Zhao, instead of that still being present in the weapon. So I don't know if this form of manifestation of Darkin is different than the others, because it's not like a forceful, malevolent style of domination like what we would see with again Rhaast and Aatrox and perhaps even Varus. Though I would like to say really quick, I think that, like I say in my analysis that's coming out today, today's the 11th, I think that it's not necessarily like over for someone like Varus. I think Kai and Valmar have been illustrated multiple times to potentially have an effect on Varus and give Varus this perspective that like maybe this nihilistic, destructive vengeance attitude that he carries doesn't have to be his fate. And I think Zaahen has really inspired within me this belief that maybe some kind of redemption or something along those lines for the Darkin could be possible. Now, that might not be the case if they haven't already put themselves on this path before being sealed in weapons, but just something to think about, that like maybe it's not so simple. Maybe it's not just one street, one possible outcome. But let's move on.
Once again fight a battle against his own kin and within himself. In-game, Zaahen wages war as a lethal brawler who can skirmish with the best of them. With a
Fighting Aatrox and Nefiri,
mobility, and auto attacks, this Darkin warrior ascends in combat to become unstoppable as the battle rages on.
Oh, nice, and Yone.
Discover the power of Zaahen the Unsundered in this champion spotlight.
He looks sick. I love his design, man. I think it's so awesome.
Zaahen's passive is Cultivation of War.
There he is fighting Varus.
Attack and ability that hits an enemy champion fills Zaahen with determination.
Okay,
Each level
he's
of
got a determination
grants
bar.
bonus attack damage until Zaahen reaches full power. But
Okay.
we'll get to that later.
So he ramps.
Zaahen's Q is the Darkin Glaive. After casting, his next attack slashes twice, dealing bonus damage, applying on hit effects, and healing for a percentage of his maximum health.
Nice.
Recasting the ability within 4 seconds empowers his next attack with more bonus damage and a knockup.
Nice.
This makes Zaahen even more attack-oriented.
Looks like a
than your
solar
typical
empowerment
bruiser.
there.
As his name suggests, he's all about those AAs.
I love that, and I play top lane. For those who don't know, you know, I fucking barely play any League, but I play Mordekaiser top lane. I love playing top lane, so this is exciting for me. It's a new champion that I can get into. Yeah, I'm excited about that. I think that's cool. Fuck Singed, by the way. Just want to put that out there on the board right now. Fuck Singed. And yeah, don't ever chase Singed. I learned the hard way.
With his W, Dreaded Return, Zaahen stabs his glaive forward, damaging any enemies it
Oh,
hits
little pull.
and dragging them toward himself.
Nice.
In addition to keeping cowardly enemies in range, his W is great for multi-stacking his passive in the heat of battle, as it hits on the initial stab, and again on the drag for double procs.
Nice.
And it can strike multiple enemies at once.
Then you can queue off of that as well. Nice.
His E is Orient Rush. Zaahen dashes a short distance and then flourishes his glaive, dealing damage to all enemies around him. Enemies at the edge of his sweeping strike catch even more damage.
Oh, nice.
Whether you
Little
decide
skill
to use
shot
Orient
action.
Rush as a chase tool
Almost.
or as a quick repositioning option, you're
Oh,
golden.
that's very nice. Get you out of the barrier.
Finally, Zahen's ultimate is Grim Deliverance. Zaahen prepares for battle, takes flight, and slams down into the fray. The AoE impact will increase his determination for every enemy champion in the area.
Nice.
Expertly timed, this ultimate can swing the odds back in Zahen's favor. But
I
his
mean, it'll obviously put determination up higher, but I would assume it's also going to do more damage if your determination's already at max. Again, I'm not like a league player. I don't understand, meta and all that stuff, but just how I'm looking at this, you'd probably still want to have determination stacked going into the fight to use ult if you can. I don't assume that it would be the best way to stack it, but if you do need to get it up quickly, I guess that's get it up quickly. I don't know if that's the way I should phrase that. If you do need to get your determination up quickly, I think that sounds like a riskier way of handling it, but shit, again, what do I know?
His true power is revealed when he reaches that final level of determination and unlocks the other part of his passive. With full
Oh,
stats,
wow.
Zaahen doubles the bonus AD from his cultivation
Oh.
of War, and the next time he would die, he instead revives after a few seconds with a portion of his max health.
Yeah, that's fucking strong. Yeah, I heard Aatrox and some other champions had something like this, but it was a little bit different in form that made it even more overpowered. So I do know some people are pretty frustrated at this, especially, probably Aatrox mains. But it sounds like the intention is to have this be a little bit balanced a little bit differently. I also really like how they indicate this with the golden glow. It's so solar. Obviously, the Darkin were empowered via the Sun Disk using celestial magics. I would not think it's a stretch of the imagination to assume that that is solar related, considering it's a Sun Disk, even if celestial. And so I wouldn't even think it's a stretch to also then associate that this type of magic is not that different from the, and I was corrected on this, Targonian father of Mel and their solar abilities, or the Solari upon Mount Targon. Ultimately, I think all of these magics are going to be connected anyway. I think all magic is connected in some fashion, but that's a discussion for a different time. But I just really think it looks really cool. I think it looks dope.
Would die, he instead revives after a few seconds with a portion of his max health, back to finish what he started.
Wise to dread my return.
Zaahen
I mean, it is also one of those things where since it's automatic, and I don't know how this has worked. Oh, speaking of Leona, I don't know how this has worked in the past, but it is automatic, so it doesn't seem like there's any choice for you to do it or not. So that could just give someone the opportunity to just double kill you, depending on if they're playing well or not. So I don't know. That's something that kind of has a risk reward type of situation going on. I wonder if it's possible to like reject the resurrection and just come back if you find yourself in a situation where, like, if I res here, I'm just going to give them another free kill. I wonder if that's something that's possible or not.
is a serious threat over time, so smart enemies will either disengage early or shut you down before he reaches his max potential, leaving you determinated instead.
Yeah,
Applying
so you
his
got to
ancient
build him. You got to ramp it up.
techniques well, though, and your high
They got Rhaast in
sustainability will
there,
allow you
Kain
to
and Rhaast.
thrive in an extended fight, defying both death and defeat.
Ascended. Darkin.
Wow. I love this, dude. You got Zerath as Ascended. Darkin here as well. Kain and Rhaast. You got Yunara coming in. Wow, wow. I love how they do this. They pick champs that are like kind of lore relevant sometimes to like show the actual engagements.
Blade between.
If you're drawn to the art of combat and unflinching champions like Alawi, Darius, or Jax, give Zaahen a try. You may find this meditative Darkin is exactly the warrior you've been waiting for.
Nice. Okay.
The moment for mercy is long past. Break your enemies until only you remain, with Zaahen, the
Very
Unsundered.
cool. Very, very cool. I'm excited about it, dude. I think it's awesome. Any Darkin stuff, feed me that. Gimme, gimme. But now that we've watched the intro and ability overview, I think it's time to get to the part that most of you are interested and excited to hear me talk about. Let's get into it.
Rise, Hawk Emperor. I pledge no loyalty to an unfit leader.
Okay, that's a pretty sick starter, dude. Obviously referencing a seer, as you see here on the screen. Hawk Emperor. I pledge no loyalty to an unfit leader. I wonder if that's a reference also to Aatrox there. Like, I'm not gonna fucking follow that guy. I'd rather follow you. Or that you're not, since you're not standing up, you know, you're unfit. That can't be the case, so stand up. But yeah, let's see.
Your plans will see you slain again and again, Deceiver.
Banger.
You make Oblivion your master, Aatrox, and so stand for nothing.
Oh yeah, hitting us with some good fucking lines just to start. This is something that I discuss, I believe, in my analysis that's gone up today, that Aatrox is more bent on oblivion, destruction, even his own death. He doesn't really, and he's ruled by this nihilistic, darkened view of the world. And so he's kind of a slave to it. And Zaahen is so interesting to me because he's a Darkin that is not bound in such a manner. He has ideals, virtues that push him towards standing against this darkness, questioning what he and his brethren have become, and trying to kind of be the goodness, even if it looks bad on the outside, right? That's his intention. He is noble. And so his manifestation of his will is represented, like, of course, by his actions and what he stands for, right? Where Aatrox, it's pretty much all just destruction and suffering. And as much as I love that about Aatrox, love his voice lines, all that stuff, it is one of the things that makes Aatrox so sad and tragic, right? Is that he's kind of trapped in this just suffering and just wants to be set free from it. But in the means by which he would accomplish that is by, like, murdering and fighting until something can finally destroy him. So yeah, I like this already a lot. Zaahen is, even just from the beginning, from the War of the False Khanme, Zaahen even considering that he could be darkened and, no pun intended, and become a problem, showed me that he was different than the other Darkin.
Mortal and monster, both too deadly to spare. Embracing the ways of a beast.
Mortals are too deadly to spare, huh? Interesting.
Fury, then die as one.
Yeah, obviously Neferi being another Darkin. And I know all about the Darkin, yes. I know about the Darkin with the catapult and the chicken and all that stuff. I've heard about that. Also, like the Bandle Tree from Legends of Runeterra. Yeah, I've seen pretty much if there's something Darkin related, I think at this point I've probably seen it.
You corrupt your duty, Varus. Vengeance serves no one.
Yep. Oh man, I love these fucking lines. Yeah, that's exactly what I've been talking about. Yeah, vengeance is Varus's plague. It's what darkens him. And again, if you look at the voice lines with Varus, Valmar and Kai, the two vessels made one, so 3 in 1 that they have become in that form, they really tried to get through to Varus and try to get him to change his perspective. And I would be lying again if I didn't say that I think that it, to some degree, is working. I think that maybe there's a level of self-reflection there that's really probably very hard for the Darkin to accomplish in their corrupted, suffering state. It's really hard to be suffering like that and to be bent on such negative emotion and to be able to look inward at yourself and find anything positive to look forward to. I think that many of us can probably relate to that. And so that's part of why I think Varus is such a compelling and interesting Darkin, because you have Zaahen on one end, you have Aatrox on the other, and you have someone like Varus kind of in the middle. And I'd say you have Rhaast more towards the Aatrox side, but you almost have these difference in ideals, and I don't necessarily want to say willpower, but I do think that this stuff is inevitably linked to willpower and duty and a greater sense of right and wrong. So yeah, I love this voice line.
Seneschal, I accept your sacrifice. Do you?
Yeah, very nicely representative of what we saw happen in the cinematic. Xin Zhao making the ultimate sacrifice. And this is obviously different from how we see other Darkin behave. And again, I think this links back to just the mindset, intent of Zaahen in the very first place. He tries to retain that noble purpose, recognizing the destruction that the Darkin are bringing to the world with their war, recognizing a bit of himself in Xin Zhao, and Xin Zhao recognizing some of himself in Zaahen. And obviously, so you have a merger of them. You can kind of see that perhaps in the facial structure, a bit of a combination between the two of them, I would say. But ultimately it's a willing sacrifice. You know, I mean, Xin Zhao did say that like ultimately your power is going to be used as a weapon. Either you're going to do it willingly or it's going to be unwilling via Atakan. But this is going to happen. So what do you prefer? Allowing it for me to make this sacrifice, for us to connect and do this together in a sense, or for you to be taken over and dominated by the likes of Atakan and used for the machinations of LeBlanc. And so, yeah, I think that throughout the entirety of the story as they have been presenting it, since Spirit Blossom and the Yunara short story, they've been making parallels and like a mirror of Xin Zhao and Zaahen. That's certainly not an accident, in my opinion, and these voice lines are supporting that, in my opinion.
Yunara, I was never worthy of your faith.
I think that it's so funny that Zaahen says this. Obviously, the devoted shrine maiden story, and that's not what Yunara has lived, but that's the story they tell about her and her devotion to this Kanmei. You know, I think it's funny because Zaahen says this, but I almost feel like him saying it proves that he's wrong. You know, it's like one of those situations where if you truly were a power-hungry monster, would you even have the capacity to ask that question and to consider that maybe you aren't worthy or that you are some kind of monster? I think the worst monsters are the ones that don't acknowledge that that's what they are, or even consider that they're on the wrong path or that they've been corrupted, right? So I think that just from the rip, I felt that Zaahen's ability to reflect upon this kind of is almost proving him wrong, but it shows that in a way, similar to the other Darkin, he does not exactly have a great positive outlook on himself. He recognizes himself as a fallen god warrior. And I think that the Darkin, in a lot of ways, they hold disdain for themselves for this fact. Some of them, it seems like they almost fucking hate themselves. And I don't think Zaahen has escaped from that. But I think his willingness to vocalize it and consider it more often than the others, I think, again, kind of sets him apart to a degree.
I understand, Twilight. The cruel necessity to keep us sealed.
Yeah, and this is obviously referring back to the former aspect of Twilight, whose name at the time was Misha, who used Chalakar, which was then attuned to the essence of the Darkin and used what was seemingly a lunar magic to seal them all inside of these weapons. So the difference, of course, with Zaahen is, once again, he wasn't forcefully sealed. He asked to be sealed. That's how the story goes, that he had requested this. So again, just a different, willing kind of sacrifice, understanding what has happened to him and not letting that overtake him as some of the other Darkin have. Now, the current aspect of Twilight, a Targonian child selected just without any specific ascension or climbing of Targon, Zoe. Again, she is the manifestation of the aspect of Twilight, but at the time of the sealing of the Darkin, it wasn't Zoe. It was someone named Misha. But ultimately, it's still the vessel and manifestation of the aspect of Twilight.
We cannot bar ourselves from the world any longer, scholar.
Love that. And Nasus as a scholar as well. Very interesting. Very obviously fitting as he separated himself to study and try to understand more of what the fuck happened to them. I would love to see more of Nasus, more of Renekton. More of Azir. I mean, I just love the God Warriors in general. And I love the ones, especially obviously, who have not yet been twisted by blood magic. Their minds were corrupted by the warring with the Void, but not twisted and turned into something like this, or morphing their bodies as Zolani and the others had done. So Nasus and Renekton and Azir. And obviously, pre-Darkin Zaahen was also very cool. His appearance reminded me a lot of Horus from the Egyptian mythology as well, so that was pretty neat.
Such nobility turned to butchery.
Yeah, obviously just a reference to Renekton being imprisoned with Zerath and going fucking insane.
My queen's blade has fallen far, to the hands of a mercenary.
To Sivir, huh? The hands of a mercenary. Well, Sivir is in the bloodline of Azir, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's part of why she was able to bring Azir back. But yeah, I don't actually know the context of the Queen's Blade, Chalakar, before all of this, so I would love to learn more about that. Not to say that there isn't anything, I just don't know about it.
There is no triumph here. You have surrendered to yourself.
Another really good line, just kind of extrapolating on that inner darkness that has kind of consumed these Darkin. It's very similar to the demonic, really. Like someone being overcome by an Azakana that's feeding on their own emotions. It's almost like if, even though it's an outward manifestation of their negative emotions, like what you see with Yasuo, just imagine if Yasuo like lost to that Azakana in the forest that day and Yone didn't show up and assist him. It's not that he would have surrendered to himself, but it's tangential in that like you are unable to overcome this darkness from within that is plaguing you. It's part of the reason why I see, not just because of their incredibly similar color palettes, generally speaking, and of course there are exceptions like Evelynn and Nocturne, but it's part of why I see the demonic and Darkin as probably correlated in some way. Maybe not directly connected, but correlated in some capacity, especially just as like celestial magical beings or spiritual beings. Like, not that they're non-physical, but they're non-mortal. They kind of transcend that boundary a little bit. And so already demons and Darkin, I think, have similarities in this regard. Also, they can, we know that they can be killed. We know they can be destroyed. Aatrox destroying the aspect of war within Pantheon. And of course, now witnessing Zaahen absolutely decimate Atakan.
Our allegiance must still be proven, God Warrior.
Are we doing this for ourselves, or do we still serve the Empire? Do we still serve Azir, or have we completely lost that purpose that we once held? Our allegiance is not just default; it still has to be proven. And this is specifically to Ascended. So that would be Nasus and Renekton. I would assume that's not going to apply to Darkin champions.
I take no joy in facing you, Demacian. I will end this swiftly.
And that could just be a general line, but it could also be because of his interactions with Xin Zhao, kind of appreciating those ideals and noble pursuits of Xin. You know, maybe doesn't make him too excited to want to fight Demacians.
I am not yours to wield, demon. You are mine to kill.
Super interesting. Obviously, because Atakan was quite literally wielding the Darkin weapon. I also think it's fascinating that even though Atakan was bound with Katash Lee, who was of course immortal back from the Warlord Sanuzal days, that demons are not seemingly capable of being overtaken by Darkin. I wonder why that is. I wonder if that speaks to an incompatibility, a level of resistance, perhaps due to some kind of vulnerability that exists in mortals. I thought at first maybe it would apply to their flesh, you know, a mortal's flesh being necessary for the Darkin inside to basically warp and take over with hemomantic powers or something to that aspect of in some way. But then again, like I just said, Atakan has at least some human flesh, I think, from Katash Lee, but maybe that binding of the two together created something wholly distinct and not just demonic and not just mortal either. But yeah, just very interesting how Atakan is able to resist it. You know, you do have champions, of course, like Kayn, who is able to resist, and a level of resistance from Kai and Valmar. And it is implied through some of the Darkin quotes that there is something that has to do with Ionian champions that is related to this. I don't know if it's their spiritual density, their connection with the land, if it's their ideals or their willpower, exactly what it is. But it is suggested through some of the Kayn and Rhaast quotes, and maybe even Aatrox or Varus, I think, just name every fucking Darkin, that there's something about Ionian champions that does make them more difficult to just conquer. And so I think that it's often commonly perceived that Rhaast is weak. Do I think Rhaast is weaker than someone like Aatrox? Yeah, probably. But I would put Rhaast probably relatively on par with Varus. I think people take it the wrong way, that like Rhaast must be weak, instead of considering, no, maybe Kayn's willpower is just very strong. It doesn't necessarily make someone weak to have a powerful opposition. It's like the unstoppable force versus the immovable object. Neither of them are weak. They just counter each other, so.
Kinku, our pact was sure to break. By my hand or yours.
Ultimately, someone was going to have to cast the first stone in that pact that was formed back during the War of the False Kanmei. I really did like in the short story getting to see the old Eye of Twilight. That was pretty dope. And by the way, where the fuck is Shen? Shen just not gonna show up? Shen just didn't show up? He's just like, yo, what? Like, dude, go figure. Now, after all of this stuff would happen, this is the time where Shen will show up. Now that Xin Zhao has sacrificed himself and Zaahen has been released and Yunar is sitting there on the fucking ground in the temple of Twilight. Now Shen's gonna roll up and be like, what has happened here? And like not understand anything that's gone on. And of course, Kennen's not with them either. So like, fuck. I could see there being some kind of misunderstanding as well, but we'll have to see. It would be kind of cool to see maybe a reformation of that pact, the current Eye of Twilight making a new deal with Zaahen, or the inverse, them immediately being like in opposition. We'll have to see where that goes.
Run, Shuriman. You face a god and monster of our history.
Yeah, it's so interesting. And while they may not literally be gods, from the perspective of a regular old person, they're gods. They're basically gods. I loved how Xin Zhao said in the cutscene, like, is that what you are? Gods? It almost seems like he's questioning it, like, is that really what you are? Because ultimately, like, they're more like demigods in my opinion, but I think that when you look at they and the Targonian Ascended and stuff like that, the aspects and things of that manner, it may as well be a god. And I think that you see this in World of Warcraft too, where the keepers of the Titans are often considered like gods or pretty much godlike beings as well. So yeah, it's about perspective ultimately.
To fight the void once more. This I will savor.
And so that obviously clarifies that he did fight against the Void, if that wasn't clear already. So like the other Darkin who participated in the Void War against Acathia, he should have had a corrupted mind, the darkness kind of seeping in, but understand that they went from human mortals to ascended God Warriors to mind void corrupted in the war. And then they had gotten into blood magic and started vying for power against each other, warping their bodies to sustain themselves and become more powerful. So the war against Acathia and the way that it corrupted their minds via the void is not the same as the blood magic corruption that followed. I just want to make that clear because there's basically 4 states that these beings have existed in. And again, that's humans, ascended God Warriors, void corrupted God Warriors, and at that point they're considered Darkin, and then full-blown Darkin blood magic manifestations and all that.
If man and scythe had worked as one, you might have prevailed.
Love that. Love that as well. Because Zaahen and Xin Zhao are effectively, to a degree, working as one. Even though Xin Zhao is dead, he has sacrificed himself. You know, it's kind of a way of saying that, like, Kain and Rhaast resisting each other is perhaps to a degree futile. And in this case, obviously, he kills Kain. So you would have been stronger if you had actually just worked together rather than resisting each other.
Howl for the self you lost among the pack.
Oh, I love that one. That's really fun because Neferi is not just a Darkin dog. It's a whole pack of like Shuriman hyena-like beings, obviously. So I think that's fucking awesome. Almost the dividing of the self. You know who else that reminds me of is LeBlanc. Her perhaps kind of spreading herself thin by creating these other shadowy apparitions of herself, which don't even know, apparently, which one is the real LeBlanc. It's like, how many times can you split yourself and kind of divide yourself before your actual sense of self is lost? So just something that's fun that I could relate to another champion.
Vengeance only takes Varus. It cannot restore what has been lost.
Very, very wise. Yep. And again, hearkening back to Varus's determination to enact vengeance for what has occurred. But I mean, it doesn't really, this isn't a league specific thing. I mean, you look at any fantasy story, it doesn't even have to be fantasy, any story that involves vengeance, it pretty much never fucking goes well. Never goes well. And the people that enact the vengeance seemingly like never feel better. Not truly. It can help kind of mend it to a degree, but it never really solves the problem. It'll never bring back what caused the pain that made you search for vengeance in the first place. The only thing you can really do is move forward, and sometimes letting it go and having a level of forgiveness is more healing than enacting vengeance.
God killer, world ender, my brother, enough.
Yeah, commentary on how far gone Aatrox is. My brother, we once stood side by side as noble defenders of our people and servants to Azir for something greater than us even. And now you're this, God killer, world ender. Just let it end. Just stop doing this to yourself. Again, Zaahen is so seemingly good at identifying the suffering that people are putting on themselves.
Be at peace, Seneschal. You have given all you can.
I love that.
My friend, I warned you. I was never to return.
Well, that's not how it turned out, is it? Sometimes you think that that's the right answer, but if you didn't come back, then it's all over. I mean, Atakan's just gonna wield you and just bring ruin.
For who you were, for who you must be again.
Oh. Oh, I love it. Another line where Zaahen is hearkening back to who they really were and kind of suggesting the possibility that maybe in some way they can find their way back to that. Maybe altered still. They'll never really truly restore what they were before. Probably. You do have what I think is this incredible power of transmutation. So it is potentially possible. It just may not have been discovered yet exactly how to accomplish it. But another reminder of who and what they were before this all happened so many years ago.
God-Warrior, rest beneath the sands. Blood is spilled and the war begins anew.
Yep, just right back to where we were.
And the battle is won. Mercy is not afforded to those so far gone. Through noble purpose we regain.
Yeah, I like that one as well. There is a cutoff point. And this exists, again, in all fantasy. There's a cutoff point where someone has done too much. They've gone too far. And so mercy's not really an option anymore. The only option at that point is destruction. I think someone like Aatrox is kind of in that realm of too far gone.
Through noble purpose we regain ourselves.
Yep.
End their carnage. Give them no quarter. I rise above ruin, above redemption.
I rise above ruin, above redemption. Man, that is an interesting line. Rising above ruin is an easy one to place. Being above just destruction and ruin, but above redemption. Maybe even setting the desire for a redemption aside. Perhaps there is no need for it, or perhaps one would consider themselves unworthy to begin with. But we have to be above even that. It's not about redeeming ourselves. It's about doing what's right. It's about doing what we know that we should do. But just my interpretation. Who knows what Zaahen exactly means by that.
Such rage, my kin. Such futility.
Will get you nowhere.
You cannot undo what you set free.
Oh, I like that one. That's good.
Yunara. Your faith in me falters. Your enemies are mine, Yunara. My imprisonment was preferable to this.
Yeah, standing in an endless desert of fucking sand. Yeah, sounds great.
Savor this battle, Aatrox. It is your last taste of freedom. My kin. Show me you deserve to stand.
Yeah, because obviously he does not approve of what happened to them and what they have done.
Rhaast, caught in a clash of wills.
Yeah, there it is, wills. Exactly what I was talking about. It's not that Rhaast is weak. It's that a common fantasy trope is that man and mortals have very strong wills. They have great willpower. I just wanted to point that out again. Rhaast isn't weak. Kain just has a strong will.
But know this, a greater war awaits you. How noble to seek unity, Nefiri, if it amounts to more than brutality.
Yeah.
Varus,
Gotta be more than just a beast.
you seem closer to humanity. Heed it, or be hunted.
Oh, love that, dude. Grasp the humanity. Don't allow yourself to be pulled back into the darkness, or I will destroy you. That's a fucking banger line. I love it. And again, these lines I feel like just go right into supporting these kind of things that I'm trying to express to you guys. Let me know if you agree. But yeah, I really think that they're trying to tell a more nuanced story about the Darkin. And I think that really over the years, I'm new, but over the years, based on what I've seen researching back, especially into this particular group of entities, that seems to be the case. Darkin are not just black and white. There are levels of gray to them for sure, and I think Rhaast and Varus are, before Zaahen, the two best examples.
Seneschal, resolute even in the fields of memory, we rise as one.
I wonder what he means by the fields of memory, if that's like the place where he was, or if he means like the Summoner's Rift, or just in my memory, you're resolute as ever.
You stood eternal guard, my friend. Let me match this devotion.
Hell yeah.
Yunara, this war took everything from you. How could I ask you to fight once more?
Because she did it willingly. You know, she chose that. The war may have taken everything from her, but she chose to partake in the war as well. She wasn't forced. She made the choice. And so I would like to think that Yunara doesn't hold anything against Zaahen, that she would do it again.
I will see beyond our madness. I will rise above all that has broken our minds.
Yep. Absolutely love it. I don't have anything to say about this one. I mean, it's just what you would expect.
Steel the mind, temper the flesh, hunt the fallen.
Temper the
I do
flesh.
not wake an ancient war merely to fight it, but to end it.
Yeah.
This
yeah.
body was given in blood, and to blood it returns. There was warmth in the flames of war, but I chose the cold. I chose the silence.
Yeah, again, talking about the actual choice, the willing choice, and war giving him some semblance of being alive or perhaps even fitting in, but him having the wherewithal to realize that it's wrong, that it's just bringing destruction, and so he chooses the isolation instead. It's so noble, dude. It's so fucking noble. I love it.
An age spent warring beneath the sun. It is no wonder some made peace with darkness.
Yeah.
Beneath my wings, the Sunborn joined me in immortality. Now, beneath my blade, they must die.
Tough. Beneath my wings, the Sunborn joined me in immortality. Obviously, because he can fly around. Makes me wonder, though, if he had some form of, like, leadership position at any point. Obviously, I know about the Aatrox general storyline, but, yeah, it makes me wonder.
Few were offered the rights of ascension. Even fewer were truly worthy.
Yeah, and I think the initial attempts at ascension turned some people into... Oh, goodness, I forget what the term for it is, but they were, like, disfigured. They were, like, transformed in a not a good way. They did not turn into God-Warriors. Yeah, that was not the first attempts at the Sun Disk and their ascension were not so good.
As I bound my kin, they were mortal again, for a moment. But it is past, and they are lost.
So, like, being sealed inside the weapons made it even worse? That's very interesting, because I've read the whole Twilight of the Gods storyline, and I've heard Necrit's explanations and recount of it. But I don't recall. I wonder if he means that literally. Because, I mean, what we see bound inside the weapon is the mortal self. So, very interesting.
How easy it would be to destroy all of this.
Yep.
It would be empty.
Yeah. Kind of hearing that violent nature, that darkness kind of coming through, but then the recognition that if I destroy everything, then there will be nothing. It'll be empty, no purpose, no point, nothing. And someone like Aatrox sees that as freedom, but that's not how Zaahen sees it.
Corruption tears at the edge of my mind, taunting, tempting.
You must have a strong will to be able to resist it. Because again, this comes down to willpower. Very, very common in fantasy. The resistance of corruption is so often connected to the strength of one's will. I mean, again, that's huge in World of Warcraft. Again, I just think that's big across the board. You see that in Tolkien, Silmarillion, Lord of the Rings. Yeah, I mean, anything fantasy, really, you almost always see that.
The trial never ends. In every instant, every motion. Keep the Darkin at bay.
A war that never ends.
It is strange to breathe once more, free from the pall of iron and ashes. Memories bleed together now. A kingdom I never knew, and an empire long gone.
Yeah, after that much time, I could only imagine. And being bound. So what he's saying here, that's actually really, I didn't even understand that initially. He's actually talking about Xinjiao, a kingdom I never knew. That would actually make sense for the Demacian quote earlier. So Xinjiao, even though dead, some of him is in there. There are some memories in there, clearly. An empire long gone is the Shuriman Empire, obviously under Azir. A kingdom I never knew, that's Demacia. So their memories are now bleeding together. Wow, wow, wow. This is a lot more similar to Varus than I realized. So Xinjiao there's at least remnants of him in there. Damn.
An age-long war begins again. On which side do you fight? You know not what you face. Those who serve fallen gods forfeit their life. I sealed myself away. Do not give me reason to show you why.
That's a badass line.
This is grace. It must be. None should meddle with the power of gods.
Absolutely, not even you. Not even you. And had they not done this, Acathia wouldn't have got so damn scared and started to call in the void in the first place. Is it something that was done to prevent an inevitable outcome, or something that directly caused it? Should just never meddle with these powers. The fucking Rune Wars should be evidence enough of that.
Needless death.
But of course that came after.
This age forgets the weight of war.
Yeah.
Rage no more. You have lost yourself. We Darkin take much from this world. Irredeemable. Blinded by your own wrath. Burn! Huh? Burn! My eye does this not... Do not mistake my restraint for peace. The dreaded past returns by my hand. The motions of battle remain through the ages.
Scars
Blades
forever.
will clash once more, and the earth will shudder beneath us. Let neither the flesh wither, nor the resolve waver. Where others have been undone, I must endure. To slay an immortal is a fleeting victory. The mortal...
Oh, interesting. Is it because they'll reconstitute and come back in some capacity? That's how it works in World of Warcraft anyway.
To slay an immortal is a fleeting victory.
Oh, because it's during respawn as well. So I mean, seems to be the implication there, but we don't know too much about that. Also, one thing that I wanted to point out was that in the cutscenes with the most recent Zaahen cutscene, at the end you have LeBlanc and the helmet of Atakan crumbles, and one of the things that I said was, it almost seems like the demonic essence, that magical binding of Atakan into Katashli's helmet, caused it from crumbling under the weight of time, because ultimately it's just an iron helmet, right? So I think it's really interesting how the flesh that they conquer is sustained as well. I wonder if there's almost like a similarity there, where like the immortal, empowered magical essence of the Darkin within that flesh almost kind of keeps it from decaying, keeps it from aging and rotting away like what would happen with a typical mortal being. Just, yeah, interesting. And that's kind of, he had a line there a moment ago where he mentions flesh, tempering the flesh. So, yeah, just something that I think is interesting.
The mortal heart still beats within, steady, unyielding.
Love that. Love that. Recognizing his own existing, persisting even, mortal heart, and not forsaking that, not hating it, but embracing it and realizing the strength that it gives him. Mortals are they're powerful. They're powerful. This is, again, common fantasy trope. Mortals are not to be underestimated. That's a common folly of gods and godlike beings, is that mortals are weak and frail and short-lived, so they're meaningless. But that's not the case. They live such short lives, but those lives are filled with a brightness, a burning passion that often eternal beings lose or don't have.
One of infinite lives to give. I will return to the light, bloodied if I must. They take pride in slaughter. They deserve all that comes next.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty horrifying to be prideful about just killing and destroying. That's, yikes. A lot of things that are good to be proud of. That's not one of them.
The blood rushes.
Ooh.
I will stand above the slain.
Max power here.
War without end. Battle honed. I alone endure. Divine and profane.
God-Warrior and Darkin.
All else falls away. Eternity is mine to bear.
Love it.
I am undying. I am unsundered. One final warning. Run. I will not forsake this life. I have centuries. You have seconds.
Fuck yeah, dude.
No wrath, no revenge, only death. You will not be saved from me. Salvation in bloodshed.
I love his voice.
We are beyond mercy. My brothers and sisters are adrift. I alone have awakened.
Yep. Standing apart, at least in some regard. A different view. It's all, you know, Zaahen to me is similar to Ashlesh, the demon, in that they are still a demon or a Darkin, but their alignment is different. Now, Ashlesh still has this unnatural, creepy, you know, forced joy kind of thing, but it's still on the different end of the spectrum to the other demons who feed upon typically negative emotions and pain and fear and things like that, where joy is most certainly on the positive side of things. So I think it's just fun when you start getting into this, because you start to expose kind of polar opposite manifestations of the same classification of being, right? So there could be like a bad celestial, right? Or a good, if the other celestials, you know, it's hard to say exactly what the celestials are up to with the aspects and all that stuff. But, you know, there could have been a celestial, you know, celestials more, that maybe a celestial that betrayed another one or others, right? Where there was like a war among the celestials themselves, and maybe the Darkin are almost kind of replicating that in some degree. It just makes me think of that kind of stuff. Even with demons, you know, you just kind of never know. Even though they're of the same classification, they might not always be on the same team.
Even in silence, I waged war. Neither death nor mercy
just
are
in the
granted
mind.
lightly. Even the divine carry wounds which cannot heal.
Yeah.
Those who look with darkened eyes see only shadows.
Oh, man. Some of these are fucking bangers, man. Again, just further commentary on the outlook and of the other Darkin and how that perception can just blind you.
The sands churn, the fallen beckon. Let them remember what it means to bleed. They will suffer, and the world will be safer for it. The glaive obeys me, not the will of war.
Love that. It's not bent on utter destruction and war and conflict. It is bent to me. I control it. It does not control me.
Farther still to fall, higher yet to rise. The temple bound my darkness, but did not purge it.
Yeah, which is also still really interesting. I'd love to learn more about the Temple of Twilight and that whole mechanism that they used in order to accomplish this. So much is lost in ancient history. I'd love to know more.
I spare them from what they've become. Ascended, Darkin, I am the blade between. Not vengeance, consequence. I am only evil.
Meting out justice.
I am only evil. Deferred.
Deferred, I think, means kind of like put off for a time. Kind of set to the side. It's not gone, but just delayed. So I think that's kind of what he's saying, is that I have this inner evil, this inner darkness. It's not gone. It's just been delayed, put over here on the side for a while, but it's still there.
Long is the path that leads us back to light. I could fell thousands with one slash, but to what end?
Very good quote. What is the reason? What is the purpose? What does it accomplish, if anything?
Fight the corruption or die for it. Fallen gods mistake their ruin for glory.
Oh, that's another really good one. Your conquest as Darkin is not glory. It's just destruction. And Zaahen does not see it as something to be proud of, something to relish in at all. It's embarrassing. It's demeaning. It's not what they were supposed to do. They have lost their true selves and their true purpose.
The lure of madness will not shake me from what must be done. Broken gods, I bear the burden you could not. I seek the Sunborn, whose veins run with rot. My blood burns for slaughter.
Whose veins run with rot. So interesting. That is so interesting.
My mind urges grace. Sever madness. Control, not carnage. Remember yourself. You are past hope. Spare no evil. No reprieve. Wrath meets ruin. I am more than hatred's prey. Fury weakens you. More than bloodlust. What do you sacrifice?
What have you sacrificed? Okay, Illidan. Chill.
Overcome your nature. You tempt death. This is atonement. You wake my cruelty. Pierce through the din. Is bloodshed all you crave? Pray for your sake. As god and monster, I will not be shattered. I deserve the silence. The fall. Inevitable.
And the laughs at the end. Wow. Really, really enjoyed it, man. I think Zaahen is so fucking sick. I really do. I think Zaahen is such a cool champion. Like I always say, I love the Darkin, and he's just such a refreshing, interesting take on it. I love his quotes to the other Darkin especially, but I'd really love to know what you guys think. What do you think of Zaahen? What do you think of his story leading up to this through Spirit Blossom with Yunara and Xinjiao and his different kind of attitude and perspective compared to the other Darkin? What do you think of the voice lines themselves? What do you think of the abilities? I want to hear everything that you think about Zaahen. If you did enjoy, please leave a like on the video and subscribe if you'd like more stuff like this in the future. I might not be your Necrit when it comes to the lore insights, but I do have a lot of fun doing this, and I enjoy providing just some different thoughts and perspectives when I can. But with that all being said, thank you again for watching. I appreciate you very much. Stay awesome, and until next time, I will see you later. Peace!